Buy now, pay later did not make shopping cheaper. It made the price easier to ignore. And that tiny psychological trick turned a checkout button into one of the fastest growing debt machines in America. Look at a $120 pair of shoes and your brain asks a useful question. Are these shoes worth $120? Now replace that price with 4 payments of $30. Same shoes. Same total. But suddenly, your brain is comparing the shoes to dinner, not to $120. 30 feels harmless. 30 feels temporary. 30 gets the package shipped today. The other $90 quietly moves into the future, where apparently a richer, wiser version of you will deal with it. I admire the optimism. Let's call our shopper Maya. She uses pay in 4 once for the shoes. The first $30 leaves today. The next 3 payments land every 2 weeks. No interest. No dramatic paperwork. No credit card lecture. Just a cheerful button and a tiny schedule. At checkout in the United States, that button might say Klarna, Affirm, Afterpay, or PayPal Pay in 4. Different companies, different terms. Same psychological effect. The debt feels like a checkout setting. Used once, with cash already set aside, that can be perfectly manageable. The trap begins when Maya stops seeing a loan and starts seeing a payment method. Next comes a $60 jacket. 15 today, then a $200 flight. 50 today, then groceries on a rough week. 25 today. Each purchase looks small because each seller shows Maya the first slice, not the pile of future withdrawals she has already promised. That is the product's real magic. It does not lower the price. It partitions the pain. Researchers studying a large American retailer found that adopting installment payments was associated with customers buying more often and spending larger amounts. It is why merchants are willing to pay for the button. A credit card, at least, has the decency to walk in wearing a little name tag that says, "Hello, I am debt." Buy now, pay later walks in wearing sneakers and says, "Relax, I am just vibes with a calendar." Federal Reserve researchers note that merchants can pay roughly 5 to 8% for these services, often more than ordinary card fees. They are paying because the button turns, "I should probably wait," into, it's only 15. That is the first trap. Not interest, permission. Maya does not feel like she borrowed money. She feels like she made shopping more organized. Look at her. Very responsible. She has apps now. Then payday arrives, and the apps start tapping her checking account like polite little woodpeckers. 30 for the shoes, 15 for the jacket, 50 for the flight, 25 for the groceries, a streaming bill she forgot, a rent payment looming in the corner like a landlord-shaped storm cloud. None of the payments looks terrifying alone. Together, they look like her budget got eaten by ducks. That is how the legal debt trap works. It does not kick down the door. It politely schedules itself. The industry calls it BNPL, short for buy now, pay later. I am going to call it what it feels like, a checkout loan. Federal Reserve staff estimate that 6 major providers originated about $157 billion in American BNPL credit products during 2025. That number is not debt outstanding. It is credit originated. That is a shadow lane of consumer credit with better graphic design. In the Federal Reserve's latest household survey, about 1 in 6 adults had used buy now, pay later in the previous year. Nearly 3 in 10 users said the main reason was simple. It was the only way they could afford the purchase. 1 in 5 users had used it for groceries or food delivery. Now the same button is helping people drag basic needs from one paycheck to the next. Here is the second trap. Nobody sees the whole mess clearly. One provider sees the shoes. Another sees the flight. A third sees the groceries. Maya sees everything, only if she opens every app, checks every date, and does accounting homework at 10:47 p.m., like a raccoon with a spreadsheet. The traditional credit system may not see it cleanly either. Reporting is changing, and newer credit scores built for these loans exist, but short pay in 4 plans still are not reported everywhere in one neat, boring, adult way. Pay perfectly, and it may not build credit the way she hoped. Fall badly behind, and collections can still show up wearing steel-toed boots. CFPB researchers found that in 2022, 63% of buy now pay later borrowers opened overlapping loans at some point during the year. One-third used multiple providers. That is the trap in one sentence. One $30 promise is forgettable. 6 forgettable promises are a budget. Maya returns the jacket. The merchant has the return. The payment provider has the plan. Maya's bank has the checking account. Does the next payment pause immediately? Does the refund reduce the loan first? The problem is that Maya did not learn any of this at checkout, because checkout was designed to feel like buying, not borrowing. Now we get to the legal part. Pay in 4 is credit, but it was built in a shape that did not fit neatly inside the old credit card box. The classic version is closed-end, often has no finance charge, and gets repaid in 4 or fewer installments. A lot of old consumer credit rules were designed around older products. Credit cards, monthly statements, finance charges, longer installment loans, the boring paperwork zoo. In 2024, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau tried to close part of the gap by saying certain digital buy now pay later accounts should be treated like credit cards under Regulation Z for things like statements, billing disputes, and refunds. Then, in May 2025, the Bureau withdrew that interpretation. Congress later got a bill that would spell out more standardized protections for pay in 4 loans. As of now, that bill is still a bill, which is how Washington says, maybe later, bestie. Some states are moving too. New York has been building a buy now, pay later licensing and rules framework, but the national rulebook is still uneven. So no, buy now, pay later is not outside the law. General lending, collection, privacy, discrimination, and state rules can still matter. Providers also have their own policies. The button looks standardized before the protections are standardized. 2 checkout screens can look almost identical, while the fees, reporting, disputes, refunds, autopay rules, and hardship options are not identical at all. And then comes the third trap. Zero interest does not mean zero consequences. In the latest Federal Reserve survey, 26% of users said they had paid late. Among late payers, nearly 2/3 said they were charged extra. 11% of all users said one of these payments triggered an overdraft or insufficient funds fee at their bank. The lender can say 0% interest. The app can collect automatically, and your bank can be the one standing at the exit with a fee bucket. And I am not saying buy now, pay later is always worse than the alternatives. Credit card interest can be brutal. A planned 0% installment can be cheaper than both. The danger is not the existence of the button. The danger is believing the button made the price smaller. If I were sitting next to Maya at checkout, being the irritating rich friend nobody invited, I would give her 5 rules. First, restore the full price, $120. If the full number makes you hesitate, that hesitation is the product trying to escape your brain. Second, treat the plan as debt immediately, not a payment method. Debt, still debt. Third, put every future withdrawal in one place. Same ugly spreadsheet. Rich people are boring about obligations because boring is cheaper than surprised. Fourth, never let autopay depend on money that is probably coming. Probably is where overdraft fees breed. Fifth, before you click, check 4 boring things: late fees, return payment fees, credit reporting, and what happens if you return or dispute the purchase. And if the plans are already stacked, stop adding new ones. List every balance. Protect rent, food, utilities, transportation, and medicine first. Contact providers before the missed payment. If the pile is bigger than you can manage, a reputable nonprofit credit counselor can help you build one complete picture. Buy now, pay later 1 because it made debt feel too small to deserve your attention. Add it up. The checkout button wants you to think about the first payment. Wealth is built by noticing the other 3.